join discord.gg/flatearth and enter a check-in room. Someone will come along and verify you to get involved in the conversation about our Earth.
TeDdy.
TeDdy or whatever. Yeah, he left. Well, of course.
He was never here.
Yo,
dude, I got your user ID and you're being reported.
Yeah, TeDdy, you could actually, I just muted you, bro. But you could actually have a conversation with us and go a lot farther than what you just did. I mean, this is the internet after all. You don't have to act like a douche, bro. To be honest.
Or like
we got a whole bunch of people. We got a whole bunch of people joining. No one really cares about those like kindergarten shenanigans, to be honest. Like if you're going to be in here, have an intellectual discussion versus the TikTok brain that you might have right now. That's not useful. Let's actually implore your critical thinking, and perhaps you might find that you're more smarter than you think you are, TeDdy. And all of those that followed you, so hopefully those guys who did follow you aren't going to be following suit. I will unmute them and ask them to speak if they'd like to. But you can stick around too, TeDdy, if you'd like, and probably change your mind a little bit. Let's see. Just let me know, TeDdy, who has came with you. Yeah, but hang on a second. So, TeDdy, you're VC verified. I'd like you to draw your attention to the text channel above the voice channel you're in. Live stream voice text. That's the text channel that we're all in at the moment. If anybody else has came in here with you, you can ask me to unmute them. And perhaps they can chime in. Because it looks like you came in with a group, which is cool. We like for you guys to come in here in groups. We'll talk to you guys. No worries. I am what?
I was just going to say that it seems like he's been here since July 2nd, 2021.
No worries. But I don't mind unmuting you and, giving you a chance to speak. I don't care. No, you're not.
Let's see what he does with a chance.
But dude, like I'm saying, why waste your moment of talk time on here when you could be speaking to us about, interesting things? Okay, let's see. I've unmuted you. Go ahead, TeDdy.
Hey.
What's up, man?
So I apologize. It was like you said, a funny TikToker.
But check it out, man. You could ask us some questions and we'll tell you directly the question you want to. Even if they sound ridiculous, go ahead and just ask. I don't care.
Oh no! I've asked all the questions I wanted to know ages ago. Like I don't really have any But if I could ask like one of my friends who I have joined, for you to unmute them and maybe if they want any questions. But
sure.
Yeah, I've been here for a while, so I've asked many questions.
Well, who do you want me to unmute?
Shabzz and Raskitalian, and maybe TB Joe Realm.
So Shabzz. Hang on a second. I'll do Shabzz.
I can add them if you want. Yeah.
You can add them or just like put it in the chat that you're in right now. What's up, Shabzz?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
Pretty good, bro. Check this out. Like, it seems like your friend TeDdy's been here and asking some questions, and you guys think this is a pretty silly chat. That's fine. I don't care. But what I'd like to ask you, Shabzz, because you're your own guy, right? You're your own man, your own mind and stuff. Ask me a question you think that sounds silly or whatever. Now I'll answer you directly what the answer is. I'm not gonna.
Right, do you believe the Earth is flat?
I don't believe I know.
That's fair enough. All right,
and I can tell you why. I could tell you why.
Sure. Let's go for it. Yeah.
So the Earth is measured as flat. It's practically used as flat, and we navigate across it as flat. So the Earth being flat is not just an assumption or a belief. It actually is flat. Indeed, truly flat. There's observations that are made for miles of distances without any curvature whatsoever. So, like, people think the Earth is a globe, right? It would be curving like a sphere. Definitely curving. And the fact that all the people in here have already investigated the claim, it hasn't been proven so. But like, coming from your position, and you guys might, because you hear about it, it sounds pretty stupid on its face. I agree with you. It did when I first heard it. But when you actually look into it, you find out that it's pretty fucking flat. Like, there is no curvature whatsoever. So you're going to realize yourself when you look into it that it's not curving like they tell you. And that's going to shock you because you're going to be like, whoa, what the hell? Like, all I can bring up is like pictures from NASA and like you get like all this shit. But when you try to say, okay, I know they got all this stuff I can look at. Now, how am I going to go test it to see if it's true? You'll find out that there's no way to test it. Like, they don't give you any information how to do that. Like these, yeah, go on.
I mean, I don't know. Look, see, I think yesterday, yeah, I went to a beach, and I feel like if you look out at the horizon, you can see like the curve, you know?
No, I agree. Like the people say, like, or you see like a boat disappearing in that. But do you know that that has to do with perspective and not with curvature? Because if it was curvature, Shabzz, you'd be able to measure where the curvature actually exists. So let's say you saw a boat disappearing, or where you say you see the curvature. Exactly at that point, that would be the place where we can measure a distance from where you're standing to where that place is. So let's say, I don't know, like I'll give you just a random number, like 5 miles away from you. Like wherever the curvature would be, where you couldn't see any more beyond, that's what that distance would be measured, and everybody in here would know what the distance would be, where the curvature begins. But there isn't.
But it changes from person to person, right?
Well, they shouldn't, because if it's, think about it, right? If you're on, like, let's say you have a basketball in your hand, and your point A would be you put your finger on point A, and then you can move the other finger to a different point, which we call that point B, right? So if point A and point B are a physical distance away from each other, so would the position on Earth. If you're standing on a ball, from where you're standing to where you think the curvature is, that's a known distance. It's not, that doesn't fluctuate. It doesn't change. Like if it was to change, then how would they measure the shit? You know what I mean? It has to be something that they can know that's dependable. Like if I go tomorrow, the place that you told me to go to, and you say the curvature is 5 miles. Well, tomorrow, the curvature where the boat disappears, it would be exactly right there, like every day. But like you said, it seems like it fluctuates, it changes. That means how did the hell did they measure it in the first place if it does that? It doesn't make any logical sense. And you know what I'm telling you is true, Shabzz. That's what these guys are up to, man. They're confusing the people, and like the young ones, like you and TeDdy, just think that the Earth is a globe. You don't know, like it's not. You can't measure the shit, bro. So like all of us in here, we're just helping each other out, like figure that out. Like we're just people on the internet, like trying to get others on the same.
What's the the thing? I see where you come from, but what's the purpose of someone like lying about that, like saying it's round or it's not flat?
But that's easy, right? That's the easy question. Like I could show you, like when you talk about companies, organizations, or agendas or some shit, like we already, like, I don't know. Hopefully, do you know that governments lie to its people, the governments of the world?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the purpose? Just not flat Earth, but like, what is the purpose you think they would lie to the people? Like for what
Control
purpose?
us.
That's
money.
it, bro. You got it. Like that's the first one. The first one, it's like the word control. It encumbers a lot more other topics, bro. Like that's like, fuck. You can talk about like religion. You can talk about politics. If they control the agenda, they control your mind, bro. Like listen. Like all we can do in here is tell other people about this shit. Like the next step would have to be you investigating. If you just like think that we're just lying about this shit, that's fine. But if you never look into it, that's even worse, bro. Like that's just like you're gonna believe whatever Kool-Aid they're gonna serve you and drink that shit. Like, and we as like people on Earth, we're just waking people up to that. We're like, bro, these guys are bullshitting you guys. Like on the real, like they don't give a shit. Like you guys can believe whatever the hell you want, so long as they control your mind. As long as you never look into it, as long as you always mock it, they've already done their job. They're like, fuck it, man. These guys are easy to fool because they have nothing in there. Nobody wants to look into it. So all we're telling is people just look into it, man. Like investigate this shit. You'll find out for yourself. Like I don't have to tell you. You can go look to see if the Earth is a globe or not.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. But does Shabzz have any other questions? But yeah, I completely see where you're coming from. I don't know.
Just saying, bro. Yeah.
I think I have one, right? Okay, so if you think about the curvature of the Earth as a hill, right? So when a person goes behind the hill, and if the hill is high enough, you stop seeing them at the end, right? So
yeah.
So let's say you use the same beach experiment over there. If you're looking straight out, the hill curves down. If the Earth was curved, Like saying the Earth is a curve. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, it should curve down. Yeah.
So eventually, when the boat would go far enough, or anything would go far enough, it would like go downwards from your point of view. It would go downwards until you can't see it anymore, right?
Yeah, that's called drop over distance. But you're correct. If that was the case,
yeah,
drop over distance would be a very natural way that we can understand you're living on a ball, like an oblate spheroid is what they call it.
But so then naturally, if a person was taller, then they would be able to see the object for longer because they have a better viewpoint over the hill, right?
I would say that in the instance of if it was a globe, then you are correct. If there were person one is taller than person 2, then yeah, person 2 would see more.
So that's why it's variable. That's why it changes for me. So there's no set distance of like 5 miles.
No. What I mean to say is this, like what I'm telling you, yeah, that's a good argument for it, but I would tell you the debunk to that was that the same person of the same height goes tomorrow, it's a different distance. That is a known fact. Like you can't, like the thing that you see in the far distance from the same height that you're talking about is a different different visible distance. So you could see farther on certain days that you couldn't. And this is a known reality that you and I are in right now. So it's not.
Right.
I agree with you that a person taller could also see farther, but the consistency of the person seeing at a certain distance is not the same. It changes. It's a variable. It changes every day, which is why I'm telling you, no one's ever measured the shit, and it's not curving. So the other thing that it can be is visual perspective. So, okay, I'll give you an example. Like if you were to put your eyes all the way down to the floor and you were to see something like move away from you, do you know that the thing that you see move away from you disappears from the bottom up? Bet you didn't know that. No one tells us these things, man. That's why I'm giving you ways to look at this, and you can draw examples for yourself, right? Put your eye line, like if you have a flat table, put something on that flat table at the farthest end of the table, right? And get your eyes to the level of that table. So you're decreasing the angle of your view. When you decrease the angle of your view, then you start to decrease how much you can start to see at a distance. This is like a real fact, bro. You can test this out. So the thing that you see in the distance will start to look like it's disappearing from the bottom up because your angle that you're viewing it from is very narrow. It's very short, the angle. As you increase your angle, you can see farther down the table. As in, you're seeing it at the eye line of the table, right? And as you raise up a little bit, then it starts to appear that you can see farther. And that's just, that's normal. But it can happen on a flat surface or a curved surface for sure. I'm not doubting that. But what I'm telling you is that the distance where you see things disappearing on Earth right now, it changes from whatever height you want to talk about. Like it's never consistent.
That makes, yeah. All right, that's right. Well, thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, like if you have any more questions, the thing about like young people, like you guys don't have you're just hit with all this information, bro, on the daily. So you don't have like any critical thought about it. You just accept everything as like, well, some scientists figured it out. But people on the internet, like who can intellectually discuss this with those guys, I've asked PhDs, bro. I've asked cosmologists, astrophysicists. I've argued with them. You know, the thing that they tell us is that this is their best guess. That's what they're telling the people, you guys, the books that you read and all that shit, like scientific ideas and shit. Like they're just telling you things that when I ask them questions, they don't have no response to me. They're like, well, that's our best guess. That's what we have. Scientific communicators. That's what they're called. You know, the ones who tell people about science and that. And so I'm just like, well, okay, so the people who don't know much are in here. They're like, well, dude, I'm not a scientist. I'm like, I understand that. And I know that you appeal to like maybe somebody who might be smarter than you. But when I ask those smart people, they don't even know. So who knows then? Like, is there some mysterious person with like this superior knowledge base or something? Where is that guy? Because
I think that guy's on the call. He wants to be unmuted. Sorry, can you unmute this? This guy's called Kieran Khan.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you for answering my questions, though.
Yeah, if you got any more, let me know, bro. I'll whatever. I don't care. Kieran Khan, you're on, man. What's up?
Yo, what's up? Wait, I'm just curious if you believe in gravity.
Gravity is there's a law of gravity, little g, and then there's big G, which is a theory of gravity.
Yeah, in
And I
theory, do
just-
you believe that
Yeah, I
theoretical
wanna make-
gravity
I wa-
occurs?
For sure, I want to make the distinction between the two so you understand the context.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
when we see something like fall through the medium of air, like you have a pen and you drop it through the medium of air, relative density would say that the reason why the object falls through the medium of air is because of the object and medium relationship. So the object, right, is more dense than the medium that it's in. Therefore, it actually has a directional path in which it goes. So the theory of gravity, that's big G, that's the idea that, of course, the bending and warping of space-time is the reason why things are actually drawn together.
Yeah, that's the number 6.77 times 10 to the negative 11 or something like that. That's
yeah,
the
you know the math,
theoretical value.
right?
Yeah,
You know the
compared
math.
to the
Okay.
9.81, yeah, of the
So-
little G, yeah.
So what we're looking at here is the comparison of the two is one is a law, one is a theory, but the thing that's a law, nobody's going to dispute that, right? So when you say gravity, it's kind of conflated with the fact that you're talking about a theory and the law to come, in conjunction. So the reason why I have to make it distinctive is so that people listening can understand there's a difference, right? One is the effect, the other is the cause. So when you talk about the causation, I would say this on the perspective that when we did our investigation, like the flat earthers, and the words that I'm using sounds kind of unfamiliar, perhaps, but when we do our investigation for the theory of gravity, there isn't a foundational baseline for a cognitive reasoning for the theory. There is no answer to that question. We've looked there, like. So the theory of gravity is just that. It's just an idea somebody had of like how things would operate. The physics would operate on a globe, right?
I mean,
So-
there's ideas, but there's no
Go ahead.
actual answers. Like the creation of the
Correct.
universe, like
Correct.
you don't know definitively what created it, but there's speculations.
Correct.
And
But the
what
thing-
I'm saying about gravity is it always pulls towards the center.
Right.
And what's kind of made me question is if the Earth is flat or not. Is if you have all these force from equal sides and completely like equal sides, like when you squish a bit of dough in your hand, it becomes a spherical because of the various forces from every side. That's the only shape it will take on.
Right. But see that thinking, it only happens because there's a faulty premise. Your faulty premise is that we are in an ever expanding cosmology. Is this not the case, Kieran? So the idea that supported that idea that you just said is only supported by an ever expanding cosmology in the vacuum of space. So still the cosmology of the ever expanding cosmos is still supported by what you're saying, but it's a faulty premise. You're starting from a place that has fallacious reasoning. You think that the Earth is in this cosmic vacuum, when in reality, you don't know, nor does anybody else. Now, I know what you might say to that. Well, we have astronauts, we got satellites. What do you mean, bro?
Yeah.
Like, I know that. I know that's where the question's going to go. But I would say it like this. I usually ask people 3 questions, Kieran. The 3 questions I ask, is the Earth a globe? First of all, I go to the first question. I'll just run through them quickly so you know what they are. The first question is, how has anyone ever measured the curvature of the Earth any time in history with drop over distance? Drop over distance.
Well, they haven't,
so that's right. So I asked them that. The second one is axial rotation, the Earth spinning on its axis. Who has measured axial rotation? Because they're telling us that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator. So at the equator, they're telling us the Earth is rotating and measured to be at 1,000 miles per hour. I'm asking the question, who's ever measured that? Like, and by what device or apparatus has anyone ever measured this? And if you know, to tell me how you know. And so what people usually say, Kieran, is that they don't know, because I'm telling you, there isn't an answer for this question. There's only ideas, like
I
theories.
believe someone discovered it in a long time ago.
Yeah,
I think it was
tell
in
me
the
if you know.
1400s almost.
Sure. Do you
Not sure
know?
if you heard of him. Ulugh Beg.
Go ahead. Say
He
again.
discovered Ulugh Beg.
Ulugh Beg, can you post the citation and live stream voice text, Kieran?
Yeah. His name up. Wait, where am I putting it?
Live stream. Oh, wait a minute. You don't even have permission. One
I'll
second.
put it in the lobby.
No. I'm going to give you
Alright.
a roll. 1 second. Where is it at? PC verified. Okay. Put on live stream voice text. It's a text channel right above the voice channel you're in. It should have just
If you
appeared
look,
right now.
if you look his name up, you can find Your own
All right, will you give me a
citations that you
second?
think are
Give me a
credible.
second so I can
Yeah,
look them up, will you? Everybody that comes in here, I want them to do their best because, okay, Ulugh Beg Mirza, I'm pronouncing his name wrong.
Yeah.
Mizra Muhammad, dude, he's like,
He was
his
an
name is
astronomer.
really long. Better known as Ulugh Beg, was a Turmud Sultan as well as an astronomer and mathematician. Ulugh Beg was notable for his work in astronomy-related mathematics such as trigonometry and spherical geometry, as well as general interest in the arts and intellectual activities.
So it makes sense he proved the Earth's curvature and tilt.
Well, he didn't
Considering
prove
his
it.
background.
Well, considering his background, he didn't prove it. What he done though is use math, right? So mathematics are a language. I don't. Hopefully, you're fairly aware of this. You sound very intelligent.
Yeah, of course.
You know that, right? So is math reality, Kieran?
Well, math it depends. There's theoretical.
No, it doesn't
Theoretical
depend.
physics.
It actually is. It is reality or not. It's a black and white statement. It's either it is or is not. Is math
Well, in
reality?
some instances, math is the language of the universe. That's how
It's a language.
That's how you work out. Yeah,
Right. It's a language.
of
So
the,
it's-
I like to say it's a language of the universe because it's how you determine.
Well, it's a description. It's not determined. It's a description. So if I tell you something is, I don't know, 10 inches long, you already know what that is, right? 10 inches is a measurement that we agree. It's an agreed upon understanding. So when we use measurements or whatever you're saying, centimeters or meters, this depends what you use, what unit you're using. It's an agreed upon
Yeah.
measurement. And we can say that because of that convention, we're able to then use it and then make it applicable to what we're doing in life. Like, you know, the thing's 10 meters long or whatever. Like you know the size because I'm giving you an understanding thing that we both can agree upon, right? So
Yeah.
how are we then going to say that math is reality if it's a language? It's not reality, it's a descriptor. So it's something you and I are using to talk to each other with. But it's
Yeah.
not reality in and of itself. So I'll give
I
you
think it's
an
more than a
example.
language, though.
No, it's just a language, Kieran. So
But it can-
if you're
it can
saying
prove-
no, it doesn't. It doesn't. What it does is
I mean,
describe.
you utilize
It
physics
des-
to prove
No, it
things
describes,
that are
Kieran.
correct.
Yeah, it describes. It doesn't prove. It describes. So if you're describing something, like let's say a mathematical formula, you're showing me with the description what you're talking about. Does that make sense? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not telling you in reality what it is. It's just telling you how you describe the thing that you're talking about in reality. Like the boat is 10 meters long or whatever. Like you're telling
Yeah.
me things that are giving a description to the thing you're talking about. It's a description. So in that way, it can describe things. But is it reality itself? No, it's not. So this mathematician that you brought up, Ulugh Beg, he says
Astronomy,
he's- yeah, astronomy, mathematics. So basically, what he's doing is looking up at the night sky or the day sky. It doesn't matter. He's seeing things in the heavens, right? So, and then he's describing them
Yeah.
with
He
mathematics.
compares the sun's position at various times of the day and at various
Right.
points of the year, and
So,
he
Yeah.
discovered that it moved. Hence,
well, sure.
yeah,
But what we're saying,
obviously, we're moving around the sun, and if we were,
did he propose that? Did Ulugh Beg propose that?
I think he was one of the first essentially to propose it, but I'm sure there were people
Okay,
before.
I don't listen. I'm coming at this blindly, so I don't know what Ulugh Beg said.
Yeah, I mean,
But if-
he
if
doesn't.
he-
Obviously, he's quite an old figure, so there's not too much information on.
So does he say
He's from
that?
the 1400s.
Kieran? Because here's the fallacy that you might commit. If you're logically fallacious in saying that he actually said this, right? Then you're committing a logical fallacy. Because if he didn't say that and you're saying he did, you're putting words in his mouth. Like, you know what I mean? So if he did it, then
Yeah.
I would like for you to cite where he said that. And then it would be true that he said that the earth is moving around the sun. I don't know if he did because I
Sure, let
just
me
barely
grab it.
saw him right now.
So can I ask
All
you
we
another
ask-
question just while I'm looking for that?
Yeah, go ahead.
This may be like a simple question for some, but theoretically, say you walked in a straight line across the whole Earth, you'd eventually return to the point.
We don't work in hypotheticals, Kieran. We work with absolutes and things that are able to be reasoned with. So how can a person actually walk around the entire Earth if the entire Earth is not all land?
But sorry, can I just say
Well,
something? Alright.
boat, like you could boat, I guess. I see where he comes from. Like you touch, you have.
I know what he's talking. I definitely know his question. So for me,
Okay.
I just want to pose it to you. Like, okay, we can talk about hypotheticals. Like, what if I got in a rocket and went straight up? Like, hypothetically, all these questions, I could agree with you, because there's no baseline to actually go off of. Nobody's ever done these things. Like, you might think some things have been already supported by someone doing it, but there's no way that. Hold on, Kieran, are you having trouble?
It's chopped out. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, hypotheticals are not useful in this context, because what we're trying to do is provide evidence for the thing we're saying. So in here, like in this room, we like you guys to support the evidence of your claims. So if you say Ulak, just for example, Ulak Beg provided that the Earth is moving around the sun. I want to know where he said that, and put that in the live stream voice text so we can all check to see what you're saying is true. Because we check these claims that people make. That's the only thing we do. That some Shabzz or TeDdy, did somebody say something about a question you guys have?
Yeah, but no, you go first.
No, you go.
No, because now you have to go.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, like, if you see something in, like, the sun, what do you think? Do you think there's only just Earth? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? I want to get
Cosmology. You're talking about talk about the cosmology. I'll answer you directly. The cosmology that we talk about in here is that the floor is the Earth is the floor of the universe. In that, the universe consists of everything that we know and understand. So from our vantage point, right? Not the cosmology. In other words, your cosmology, what you have in your head, just put that aside for now. I'm going to tell you what we look at. We think that this is the floor to everything that there is. The thing that you're standing on right now is a level plane, like all the way across. Every nation under the sun is a level plane. But we're saying that we're inside of something. We're inside of an ecosystem. It's dynamic. And so it's enclosed. So I'll give you the explanations to everything that I'm saying. I'm just going to give you the overall view, right, for now. So we're enclosed inside of an ecosystem that's dynamic. Okay, this ever-changing dynamic system has high pressure and low pressure always moving throughout. It fluctuates, the high pressure and low pressure systems, causing the weather systems that we have throughout the year. The seasonal change from the sun moving from the Tropic of Cancer to Capricorn. Its proximity to where you are will change the weather, making it very dynamic. And the highs and low pressures will be like fluctuating through where you live. So affirmatively, we can say that we know that we're inside of an enclosed system. Is there anything outside of the system, like space and all that? No one knows, because we've never left this place. And so it's you guys are going to have a lot of questions after what I'm going to say, though. But like, the ever-expanding cosmology idea has been given to you via these old figureheads, right? Like the Ulak Beg and the Galileo and, Al-Biruni and all these other guys. And so you guys think that it's an ever-expanding cosmology via somebody else's ideas. You don't have an idea of your own, because there's no other way to know what you're on if it hasn't been given to you by somebody else. So I'm telling you, just from our point of view, we can know that we're on Earth, and Earth is all that there is. So we're basically standing on the floor of everything that there is, and all we see are the luminaries in the sky. So that's we don't get out, like there's no way to take like a rocket and leave, like it's just this place. So attempts to like try to think about leaving or something like that are futile, because as you go farther up in elevation, you start to realize that propulsion is not a great way to move around up in the sky. Like as you go farther and further, like airplanes can't fly to a certain extent, and you start to see problems with like jet propulsion type of systems. So the thing that we're in right now is a very enclosed system. It's not an open system like the Earth being a globe. It's enclosed. Like we're inside of something. So from the cosmological standpoint, we're the floor of everything that there is, and all the luminaries in the sky are all that we see. They're not reachable. You can't get to them, and so we don't know what they are. Any of the things in the sky, like the sun, moon, and stars, we don't know what they are. So
But
I don't
we've
want to
been
get
to
too.
Mars.
Yeah, I know. That's what they've told you, Shabzz. They told everybody. They told everybody they met in Mars. They told everybody they landed on the moon. They told everybody that there's low Earth orbit, like where satellites go. They've told people a lot of stories. There's stories that they've told you, and you can only believe them, Shabzz. You can't verify that they're true or not. So
Do you believe in like evolution? Like
evolution is false on its face.
Yeah.
Do you believe that Darwin? Do you believe Charles Darwin's theories are
false on its
invalid?
face?
Okay.
You want to?
Also, by the way, I cited the links you asked for a while ago as well.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, that's so good.
But I'll go back to what you're putting in there also, Kieran. Thank you for looking that up. We'll talk about evolution in a minute, but and I'll tell you why it's. I got one word to disprove the whole entire idea of evolution, and it's called entropy. Okay, we can get into that in just a moment. I think I want to address the link that you put before it gets buried. All right, so is this Ulak Beg, I think? Reg, or what is his name? Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I don't care so long as it's Ulak Beg saying this. Okay, so precession was found amount to be 51.4 per year, corresponding to a 1 degree in little more than 70 years. An actual 50.2 says here. He also measured the solar year in 1437, starting with the spring equinox at 365 days, 5 hours, 49 minutes, and 15 seconds, making it more accurate than figures Copernicus would later estimate. He also determined, this is highlighted by the way, he also determined the Earth's axial tilt as 23.52 degrees, which remains the most accurate measurement to date, more accurate than later measurements by Copernicus and Tycho Brahe, and precisely matching the currently accepted figure. So it's talking about the axial tilt, not rotation, Kieran. The tilt is what he was proposing.
Yes, that's what I believe we're discussing, the tilt and the rotation.
The rotation. So we're talking. The second question to the ones that I was asking would have to be that the Earth is moving, not the tilt. The tilt is the angle at which he's experiencing, the equinox and such, and that only happens in the middle latitudes on Earth. And I'm only using these buzzwords like latitude so you can understand that.
Russ B. Tycho
Brahe, yeah.
Tycho Brahe, he was like 200 years after.
Yes.
So.
Well, in the timeline, yeah, in the timeline,
he was the Earth prior to him. Yeah.
Understood. But what I was asking about. Russ B, your microphone is bad. All right, so what we're talking about here is the tilt, and if he's talking about that, then it's not what we were discussing as far as the Earth. And so, okay, so I propose it this way. The question was, who has ever directly measured the Earth, the Earth's rotation per axial rotation? So the axial rotation, meaning the Earth is spinning on its axis. So yeah, axial tilt is a component, but it's not the thing that I'm asking for. I'm asking for the movement. Who's measured that?
Okay, let me try and find that in the citation.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And also, just while I'm looking for that, could I ask you a question? Just one more question.
Yep.
Okay. Can we also get Raskitalian into the conversation? I know he wanted to ask some questions too, and then carry on with the question. I'm sorry to interrupt.
What'd you say?
No. I was saying, Kieran, you can carry on with your.
No, the other guy.
Yeah, Raskitalian. I know he had some questions he wanted to talk about, but after Kieran, of course.
Well, you guys can take turns. Raskitalian, are you there?
Hello?
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Let me ask. I'm speaking to Kieran at the moment. We got to address a few points he made, but you can jump in, I guess, after Kieran.
Let me just ask it quickly. All right, so say you're in a some sort of modern plane that had a air-to-air refueling capabilities, and you flew in a direct straight line north, and you flew over the poles, you flew back around in a circle, and you're at the same point you started. How does obviously that's
how's that work on a flat Earth?
That's what That's the question I'm
You
asking.
could you could ask it in that way. Use it. Ask it in the way you want. I would say. I will respond to you directly. I don't want to go. I don't want these like workaround answers and people getting mad or something. I want to answer you like completely direct. So, just formulate your argument in a way that you can tell me directly, so I can answer you directly. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so flat Earth has edges. There's ends to it. Is what you're essentially proposing.
No. Well,
So
I would propose.
So
I would propose it. I would propose it this way: that we're in an enclosed system. As far as the extent of that enclosed system, I don't know the boundaries. That hasn't been any flat earther that tells you about boundaries or puts a map up that gives you the idea that there is these specific boundaries. Specific boundaries are something where the map ends, let's say, or there's no more you can actually go off of. What I'm saying is that we're inside of an enclosed system. Number one, it's enclosed. The extent of its enclosure, I have no knowledge on, and no flat earther does either.
Yeah, would you be?
So I don't know how far
theoretical maths, which would counteract the arguments you've been trying to make about
probably
the Earth is round.
Probably. But that's the realm that a lot of flat earthers like to make, which is, I guess it's weird, but like the avatar that you're using right now for your pick, that's kind of like what I'm saying. Somebody probably has a conceptual idea of the extent of the Earth realm, like how far it goes out, and that. So I don't make that claim because no one knows. But a lot of people like to conceptualize it so that it can give somebody like a framework to actually work on. I don't make that argument because I would say no one knows. So
yes. Are you saying Earth could be infinite for that matter then?
No, I'm saying that it's not infinite, but it's not also known.
So how haven't we discovered the rest of it?
So we could, but we could just.
We have.
I'm about to go into that. Well, who, Shabzz or Kieran? Who should I respond to?
Yeah, reply to Kieran.
Kieran. So what did you say, Kieran?
I was just saying it's the technology that's available now in terms of like the expeditions we can do. Like, how can we not prove that there's more? And I think we would have discovered it, especially with the weight of the world. Like, not necessarily the incentive for discovery, but the incentive for money, the incentive for there's some sort of extra resources, land that was so near us that we can access, that we could harvest, that we could mine, that we could increase our wealth. Why wouldn't we discover it?
Now, and the reason why I want to tell you this is because, like, I don't know, the extent of exploration on this earth. Do you know that it logistically, right? We're talking about how you travel. Logistically, do you know that you need permissions to leave any port, as far as like if you're a mariner, like a sailor, if you're trying to leave port, you know that there's documents and permissions, and you can't enter certain waters because they're international waters, and you travel over different countries' waters and such. Do you know this, right? Yes or no?
Yeah. Well, not all waters are controlled though. So
right now, let's talk about aviation. Let's talk about travel through plane. Do you know that there's restrictions on where you travel also with the plane?
Oh yes, ever since the 9/11. Yeah, you have to follow flight plans prior to flying if you're flying out of the state.
Let's say you charter a plane and you take certain flight. You say, hey, look, I'm going to give you $10 million. Take me to Pakistan or fly me over Pakistan or whatever. Do you think that pilot's going to be able to freely navigate where he wants to?
For $10 million, that's quite a generous incentive.
Well, but the idea that somebody would just cowboy it up and get in a plane and say, "Yeah, I'll take you where you want to go."
I think Pakistan's airspace compared to say like New York's would be a lot. More
I know, but what I'm using Kieran as an example here, that the logistical traversing of the Earth is not something that's easily attainable by just anybody and saying, hypothetically, let's go and do this thing. Because if you were to travel the Earth, there's restrictions that you and I both know, because you agreed upon them, that we're restricted to do such a thing, right? We can't go.
Well, you're restricted to your wealth, I believe. If you have enough money, you can.
That sounds interesting. I like the way you rephrase that. Yeah. So you can bypass some of the things with money, not everything though. Everything's not bought with money. There's still some things that are like, treaties. Yeah. There's treaties that the governments have set in place, so kind of boundaries, let's say. So going directly north over the, let's quote unquote, North Pole is something that people say, but North Pole is kind of something that people dub a certain location. It's not, let's say, the center or the northernmost point, because there's certain logistical constraints where you couldn't actually travel to certain locations, right? And we know that in this room because we've looked into these things. Logistically, you can't travel south like as far as you want to go because there's something called the Antarctic Treaty, and also the southernmost regions are extremely harsh on any vehicles that traverse in that area, and depends on what time of year you go. It's not feasible because it's not feasible. Let me give you some other reasoning why. Okay, I'm gonna give you these answers, and then you can start to see I'm building a case for why you can't do it. So if you try to travel over, let's say Antarctica, right, over the centralmost point of Antarctica, it's logistically not feasible for a pilot to travel there because if there was emergencies that the plane would have, there would be nowhere to go, nowhere to land. So it's not something that's convenient for someone flying a plane, like a commercial plane, to actually travel over on just the sheer convenience part of the idea, because you have to have somewhere you can easily navigate to in case there's emergencies on the plane that you need to land it. So logistically and just practically, it wouldn't be something feasible for a pilot to say, let's just travel over the central location of Antarctica, like as if it's something to do. So they avoid it, not just because the idea that the Earth is flat and stationary, or they don't want to travel there because of restrictions, but because it's not even feasible to do that. Because if you had an emergency, you'd need somewhere to land, and going the direct route over that would put you in a very awkward position if you needed to emergency land a plane. You'd have to fly somewhere where you'd have a runway and all that. So just on the basic, feasible, practical notion of traveling over Antarctica, it's not even a way a pilot would even want to travel, because like there's certain policies that they have to actually have before they take flights. And I know this because we all researched this. So these policies would then have to be like the safest route for travel, making sure you stay within range of radar systems and all kinds of stuff. So traveling into the central location of Antarctica, not only is there an Antarctic Treaty, but there's also restrictions on like what you can do as far as traveling and being feasible for someone to take a plane that's going to be traveling in a place where there's no place to land. So on top of that, logistically, it's just not something that you'd want to actually have done. But that's not to say that you can't fly out the edges of Antarctica, because that has been done. So there's flight paths that take the outer boundaries of Antarctica and fly over that. That's not something that is, because you're not flying in the center of it. But there's also, like I was mentioning before, the Antarctic Treaty, the harsh conditions of the environment is another reason why you wouldn't do it. And because, like I was saying before, you wouldn't be able to land anywhere in case of an emergency. So those points to fly over that are not something that's needed for any reason. There's like no reason why somebody would do that. On top of that, there's already restrictions as to why free travel couldn't be possible over that region, because that region is supposedly sealed off for quote unquote scientific research and whatever. But that's just to mention to you like a few things why traveling over like that hypothetically even couldn't be feasible, because of all these factors I just mentioned. So
Understand your point.
but I see what you're saying though, right? Logistically also. Go ahead.
Like if you did it regardless of the treaties or the conditions, I was just asking as to what is your theory behind what would happen.
Well, the idea here is that this travel supposed to be kind of like one of those win for the globe Earth, but because of the fact since it hasn't north to south traversing hasn't happened, like all the way around, like this idea that you're going from north and you're going all the way around the ball back around to north again, that doesn't exist. However, traveling east to west does. That has been traveled, like people started from like LA, went around and ended up in LA again. But that doesn't happen like you think it does. And I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit. So you think that if a plane flies the most direct route to travel from place to place to go around the globe, right? That would make sense. But on a flat Earth, how does that work? Because you'd always have to be banking left or right, depending on which way you're traveling, right? You know, like if a plane's flying around like a disc on top of a disc, that plane would be making like a hard right. I don't know if I lost you. Hello.
Looks like you cut out.
There we go. Alright, so I just wanted to say there has been planes that have flown from the North to South Pole before, like stopping over in and
Allegedly.
Antarctica.
Allegedly, quotations, allegedly.
No, they have.
Okay. So Shabazz, remember
I've been on one of them.
No, that we're getting into some weird stuff now. So no, that's not true. I don't believe that because like the evidence behind that would have been supported. That would have been the first thing you would have said, Shabazz. If that actually happened, you would have came in here beaming and showing us evidence that you did. So the fact that you didn't use it as your first,
I don't know. I can get a picture up. I think I don't really know if that would help, but I would prefer not to share my personal pictures. But
well, you can't post. I don't think. Let me see. You don't have the. Nobody has the permissions to post. So
I'm posting an article.
It'll take ages to find it, but it's called a polar flight. It's called a polar flight route.
It's called a polar flight route that somebody allegedly said they took, but not that you've been on. So, and once again,
I have.
The honesty that I would ask you guys to have is to engage with the critical thinking. Once you start to veer off of that, then we're not actually communicating anymore. So I know you want to tend to go towards the fun side and start to poke games at this, but it's now or never, man. Because see, when you leave this chat, you're just gonna go back into the world where nobody cares about what you guys think. They're just gonna feed you information, and you're gonna be zealots for whatever agendas are out there. I'd rather you critically think about the ideas that we're telling you here versus you take this route, Shabazz. I really do.
I'm being fully free. I have been on one of those flights. This is not me poking fun at you. I'm just telling you that I have been on a polar flight route flight.
Okay.
It does go over the Arctic Circle because the curvature of the Earth works so that the flight from Sydney, not Sydney, the flight from London to Tokyo is shorter if you go over the North Pole than if you go around the Atlantic and around all of.
Okay, since you're telling me the truth, if you're telling me the truth, where was your point of origin and where was your destination?
The point of origin was in London Heathrow, and we ended up at Tokyo.
In Tokyo. Okay, so
Right.
from that flight path that you took, was there any stops anywhere, or is it a one way?
Direct flight.
Okay, direct flight. So would you say that it's fair to say that you flew a direct path without any deviation? Well, I can't say it in that way. I have to phrase it in a way that because you weren't the pilot, right?
No, I definitely wasn't the pilot.
Okay. Right. So the pilot took you down this path. So you don't know what they did to actually reach that position. They could have actually went around, like, let's say, an airspace that was probably like a place they couldn't go. Whatever the course they took, it wasn't like a direct path there, like as a straight line. It could have deviated a little bit due to the fact that when you navigate across the earth over water or land, water or the air, then you have to actually account for deviations due to the fact that logistically there could be airspaces that you're flying over or waters that you can't travel through.
But
would you agree?
Well, no, because in the polar regions have no airspace restrictions.
Right, but what I'm also saying is that as the pilot navigates through the air, there's deviations that he has to account for because of the fact that there's crosswinds, there's weather that he's got to move away from, and like there's a bit of maneuvering that he has to do to kind of keep the passenger safe. So it's not just the idea that he's getting you from point A to point B, but the fact that logistically when he travels, he has to navigate through the whatever he's got to use. Like it's not just like holding the steering wheel straight and then you're just going to wind up from point A to point B on a straight path. That's right, illogical. Sure. That never happens. So
sure.
Could we get Raskitalian to speak?
Yeah, he does. He is speaking. I'm just answering you, Shabzz, in the fact that you're only going from point A to point B. How then can you know that you're flying over a globe, Shabzz? Just by going from point A to point B, from airport to airport.
Well, I could. Well, it's just simple. Right? If you went the long way, if you consider going around the globe to get from London to Tokyo, it would just take you so much longer than it would if compared to going over the Arctic.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is you're flying a path from port to port. But what I'm saying also is, how do you know you're flying over a globe? How come it can't be just a flat and stationary Earth?
But that works two ways. How do you know I'm not flying over a globe?
Well, this is the thing though. That's what we're asking, is that it can be inconclusive when you're in a plane, correct?
Right.
Okay. That's
So
the end
is
of
there
that.
any
I didn't
way
have
to
to go
conclude?
with the flight paths. That's where I want to end up, where you actually just leave yourself in question. If there's a definitive answer, then you would be able to give it to me. But the fact that it can be inconclusive lends credence to the fact that you don't know.
Right.
Okay.
That's fair enough, I suppose.
All right. Who else has a question?
All right. You use the word cosmology or like cosmological theory a lot. Could you please elaborate on that a bit more?
Basically the perspective that you have on, let's say, everything in the heavens versus, like, I guess, an idea of where we are in a standpoint where you can conceptualize and everything.
So it's a metaphysical standpoint of
metaphysical
reality.
Yeah, you could say metaphysical. Well, sort of. And
Because
the reason why,
metaphysical is certainly not in absolutes.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is from the perspective on what's outside of the place that we're in, because I can't say metaphysical in its term the way you're saying, because then that would mean that everything, including the place we're in right now. You know what I mean? So, because I know that this place is physical, so I can't be metaphysical. But however,
metaphysical as in subjective. Metaphysics as in
everything. Yeah, everything outside of. How about this? Everything outside of where we're at. Is that fair?
Okay.
All right.
And just from that, why looking at the heavens, you see a lot of spherical bodies, and it just seems how would you extrapolate?
Yeah, stop. So spherical bodies, that's a claim. Now,
Yes.
I would say, how can you substantiate a spherical body? Go in and because here, okay, real quick. I just want to preface everything when we're talking. If you make a statement or a claim, I'll just ask, how can you verify that? And then you can directly support it with evidence. You don't, hold on a second. You don't have any roles, Rask. Let me give you some roles here.
Don't worry, I'm not going to provide any evidence. I'm more here to question this line of okay. I'm more interested in you, all right? I'm more interested in you people. So is that I'm assuming you guys are not
critical
I don't know.
thinkers?
You take offense to that?
No, I don't care. I mean, listen, when I first came into this, it was like kind of goofy and whatnot, but like now that I've been in, I'm actually been doing this for 8 years. It's the most logical. Anyway, go on with your question.
Okay. So just to build, like, so why what brought you in here?
Me?
Yeah, what brought, so you said you came in as a goof. What was the catalyst for you to start questioning, I guess?
Water.
And I appreciate your skepticism, I really do. We're both on the same page in that moment.
Well, I don't know, maybe, but hopefully we'll probably start drifting apart as we talk. But it was water, hydrostatics. So I studied it in the way of, like, if it's possible that the Earth is curving at the set rate that they tell us that it is, then of course we'd have convexity over the surface, and with that is a very profound claim that the Earth is curving at a set rate with drop over distance. So as I'm describing what an oblate spheroid is, or a spherical body, I then have to everything that I describe the spherical body with, because these terms are already identified as something concrete, right? So if you say that the Earth is a sphere, well, a sphere denotes that it has to have special definition, right? So a sphere would say that it has a radius, a diameter, and a circumference. Wouldn't you agree, Raskitalian, if we're talking about a sphere?
I feel like you misunderstand my question. I'm also asking what led you to, since, like, I know many other, I'm sure you've had.
I'm trying to elaborate is what I'm doing, but I wanted you to agree.
I might have framed my question wrong.
No, you framed it correctly, but what I'm doing is I started from a premise with what my skepticism was answered by this. So my answer to the skepticism that I have.
No, hold on. I'm sure you've had many people come in and out here. I guess you would call them trolls, and eventually taking nothing out of it. Yeah,
sure.
How was that different in your case? You know, I'm sure a lot of people are stuck in their ideologies. I'm
Are
more
you
so
asking why didn't I take the piss out of flat Earth? Is that what you're asking?
Mhm.
Well, like I said, water. It was a simple answer directly to your question, and I was elaborating why. Unless you
Never
didn't want to
curve.
hear that.
No, I don't want to hear that. I'm also interested in you, like I said before. I want to.
Okay.
I'm sure many people have also questioned these, but also, obviously you've gone on to question further. But what led you to question further? Obviously,
Water.
you've gone down the line of questioning hydrostatics.
Yep.
But
Water.
a lot of people wouldn't go down that route, and I'm asking, why would you even pursue this flat Earth line of questioning?
Told you.
Yeah, because water is level on its surface and it doesn't form convex. It's not convex. And so when I can actually show bodies of water that that are not curving at any rate, that's evidence for me. That's like smoking gun, actually. If you don't consider it, then you're just illogical. You're a fool. That's the short of it.
Most people wouldn't consider it, and I agree. Most people wouldn't. But what makes you and what separates you from those people?
Because because you have to have a curvature drop rate over an oblate spheroid, and if you don't have that, you don't have an oblate spheroid. It's pretty simple, really.
Okay.
It's not. It doesn't take a math genius. Like, in other words, Raskitalian, it doesn't take a math genius to figure out if the Earth isn't curving at the set rate that they tell us. It's not the fact that we're making this claim. The idea that the Earth is curving at whatever rate that it is, it's a public known fact, right? It's when you go to Google and you type in what's the radius of Earth, and anyone can do this. Type that into Google. What's the radius of Earth? And it's going to spit out a value. When you do that to the diameter, it is going to spit out a value. When you do that to circumference, it's going to spit out a value. With these values, we go upon the Earth, we test the Earth to see if the curvature is followed up by what I just said, water. When we go to water, if water is curving at the set rate that they tell us, right, with the radius, diameter, circumference, then it's validated. But if it's not, it's falsified. Understand?
Okay. Let's go through a different line of questioning. What do you like? In essentially, everything in this world, whether you see it in the media, whether someone makes a claim, it is based in some sort of ideology. Everything has an ideological imperative behind it. You agree?
As in?
As is in the media, as in what people talk, as in everyday conversation.
The perception.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just curious here, and you have noted, you have a skepticism in meta narratives. There is always the fact that
agenda,
we have been told.
Yeah, there's an agenda.
Sure. Okay. Yep. Sure. Agenda. But I would like to. You provided me some nebulous, amorphous agenda. I would like you to kind of elaborate on that specific agenda.
Oh, why would they lie?
Not why would they lie. I understand why they lie. Governments, corporations lie all the time. I'm just wondering, what would this specific lie serve?
It serves to control the population of the Earth.
Yeah, but the thing is, why specifically flat Earth? Because I'm sure
it's a multi-tentacled monster. Because I can answer you in a simplistic way. It won't solidify it in the fact that you are probably thinking of something else. So I could tell you the many facets of the control mechanism that it's useful for, right? It can get you to think that cosmology would be like a giant killer asteroid is coming to strike Earth and is going to destroy the planet in, I don't know, whatever, how many years. I could tell you that the Earth that you live on is a rock that's running out of resources, and please help save the planet. I could tell you that climate change is real because we're a planet that we're polluting it and we're killing it and so on. I could tell you that we need to fight for a resource. Whatever agenda that I pose to you, I have to support it with a fictitious kind of support claim. So if I'm going to tell you, I don't know, that we're running out of resources and we only have a certain amount of oil, and let's say America, and now we need to go fight Iraq, or what? I'm just using this as examples. But if that's the case, then you're going to pick up a gun and you're going to go fight for the cause because you think that we need that thing that the other country has, and you think we're mad as hell because we're losing this thing and they don't want to help us out. So how dare they? So there's a lot of things tied into that. Just give you one example, an idea, really.
But none of them are limited to specifically the flat Earth claim. Okay, so sure, none of those are limited specifically to the flat Earth claim. Like, surely we could go raid other countries for their resources, but historically that has always been predicated on some other.
Because you think you live on a planet, though. There's a planet we're running out of resources, and there's scarcity. Scarcity is a great way to show you we're running out of food, we're running out of oil, we're running out of air, we're running out of a lot of stuff. So we need to take action. So the effect of taking action.
So if there is no scarcity, why would we be raiding these other countries?
Listen, can I just get in here, for God's sake? Yeah. The thing is, my personal thing is, it's really about God. That's really what it's about, but that's a lot to unpack. So I'm not going to... I'm not... I can't... Yeah, but anyway, that's... Because think about the energy, the frequency of fear that they put out, these people. And if you've got God in your heart, you're not fearing any of that. So...
Well... Yeah, that's another answer too.
But my point is that it's irrelevant. Their motives are irrelevant, meaning that if we've measured the ground and it measures flat, it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
Exactly. Well, go ahead.
That's simple.
Raskitalian, I think you have a line of questions that you want to be answered. I'll be happy to go through them if you want. If that was it, or you want to go in depth more into the question, it's up to you.
I don't know. I feel like those answers weren't adequate enough. Like, I understand the skepticism. I understand, yes, there is an agenda, but I feel like it's not precise enough for me to buy into it, if you understand.
A lack of curvature is not precise enough.
So check this out. Check this out. Like, I'm not a salesman.
No, I'm not talking about the lack of curvature. I'm also talking about agenda.
Rask. Yeah, I was talking here, but I was talking. So I'm not here to sell you on the fact that the earth is flat, because that's not my job. I don't care if you wake up tomorrow and you're like, oh man, the earth is flat. I don't care. So the thing that I want to do, though, is I want to challenge the way you think, and that you're going to be able to investigate. So you have to understand that the position that we take is that truth never fears the fullest of investigation. Okay, so when you go on your journey to research the understanding that we are talking about right here, then you go in it like you're going to like spare no expense, or like the idea, right? You're not going to... No rock is going to be overturned. Like, you're going to look everywhere for the thing to make your claim, the idea that the earth is a globe, a very valid claim, and the fact that it's going to be able to be backed up by validation. You can't just say, I believe. That is not a great way to start to look at empirical evidence. So the evidence that we're going to provide is empirical. It can be tested, retested, falsified, and then verified. So we're going after the way that we can understand the earth to be flat and stationary, from a point that it has to be not only observationally seen as that, it has to be practically as that, and also navigated as that. And every aspect of our explanations to you, it's not to strong arm you into flat earth. I don't care if you're convinced. I really don't. I want you to use your critical thinking skills to engage with what the earth actually is versus what they're telling you. Because they're feeding you this agenda and you're eating it hook, line, and sinker. And that's where I'm like, there's no buffer for that. There's no company that's stopping this information. Oh, well, hold on. You can't tell this to these people. They're blatantly telling people that this is the truth. And what we're saying is no one's challenging them except for us. But other than that, you're not going to get a whistleblower from inside the company going, guys, I work at NASA. Check it out. They're lying to you. That there's never going to be a scientist who pipes up and says, guys, I'm a scientist. Listen, I've been looking at this 20 years and they're lying to you. There's not that. Do you know why? Because every single place that you think about is already covered by someone who's boxed in. Like in the educational system, right? Academia, they're telling you that you can't even think about the earth other than what you've been told. Go stick with the program with the teachers have curriculums. Stick with the curriculum. Teach the kids whatever's on the curriculum. If you deviate, you're out skis. You're out. You're done. We don't have anything to do with you if you're teaching other than the curriculum that you're given. So you're taught, okay, like robots, to believe something, and you're taught how not to question this thing, or how to mock it, rather. So your critical thinking stops. You're not able to use your brain for what it was meant to be used for, and that's to be curious. You're not able to be curious. You're able to be curious within parameters of thinking. So they got this nice little sandbox that you can play in, but if you step outside of that, you're done. You're a fool. You can't think that way. So critical thinking, I don't think so. Not with the globe. So here's what we're doing. We're giving the people back their minds where it's been taken from. You guys who are coming in here brand new, your mind is taken from you guys, and you don't even know it. You come in here just acting like, the earth is a globe, man. What do you mean? You got to convince me. No, we don't. We can challenge you into thinking something that you never thought before, and then you have to go research it and find out for yourself. That's what we're saying in here. Whether you do so or not, I'm having a good night's sleep tonight. But you are still going to be troubled because you just blindly believe that the earth is a globe. You're like, well, astronauts, dude, duh. And I'm like, for sure. Anyone can tell you a story, right? I could tell you one too if I wanted to and make it all up. But how are you going to verify that story is true? So that's the issue we're having. So when you put us under the microscope, I'm actually putting you guys under the microscope. Why are you still not engaging with your critical thinking? Why are you still coming in there asking these questions? Shouldn't you be on a full-on investigation? Or are you just going to leave Discord and tell your friends, hey, let's just play Minecraft. Screw those flat earth guys. That's fine. I don't care. Doesn't bother me, guys. But you guys are the ones who suffer because you stop thinking. And that's not on me. That's on you, buddy.
I feel like this is very unproductive. I feel like we've gotten, like you said at the start, we've gotten to very, very polarized perspectives. I feel like you haven't really addressed my primary concerns. Like I never once said I'm a believer in the globe. I was more so interested in you. I'm not necessarily concerned about the cause. I'm more so interested in you, and I feel like you haven't really answered or precisely answered my claims.
I don't know.
Well, not even claims. Not even claims. Not even.
Yeah.
Claims.
What's this got to do with Miggy? What's this got to do with this dude? It's got nothing to do with me. What are you talking about?
I don't know what he's asking though. You're very vague in what you ask and very broad. Now, specifically, what do you want to know? Ask me directly, and I'll give you the direct answer. How about that? That's what I said to the other gentleman whom I was speaking to. I said, ask me directly. I will answer you directly. What is it you want to know directly? Then I will specifically answer you directly. How about that?
What ideological imperatives does this serve?
Well,
like, sure, there's skepticism. That's not sure. There's skepticism in a lot of theories. There's a skepticism, like in the media. There's skepticism from both sides of the political.
Critical thinking. Critical thinking. That's what it impairs. It stunts the critical thinking. If you think everything's been explored, everything's been discovered, everything is already known, you stop to think. You don't have to. You're on cruise control. You're sitting down eating Cheetos, watching Discovery Channel. You don't think anymore. You don't need to.
There, I would disagree, because in the media there is tons of skepticism towards company activities, towards governments. Except it is very specifically the flat Earth that isn't you've decided to use use as a vessel of skepticism or promote skepticism.
I'll tell you what. It's not just the idea that you say the term like it's a dichotomy. The earth is flat. The earth is a globe. That's a dichotomy. It's actually a false dichotomy. Do you know that? When did I propose that dichotomy? I'm just proposing it to you this way because it seems like it's malformed. So the actual proposition is like the earth is a globe and you guys are flat earthers, duh. So it becomes a false dichotomy, which you start to realize, okay, so we got flat earthers over here, but we are the people who think the earth is a globe. Come on, we're rational, we're reasonable. No, you're not. You actually it's malformed because it's not flat earth and globe earth, it's just earth. And so when we go out to the just earth, we don't observe sphericity. We don't observe the curve of the earth. Now, this idea has been kind of hijacked from perspective, and we can get into that. But we're not talking specifically about that. We're talking about what you said the ideology is stunts here, and it's critical thinking, my friend. And you don't even know it. You're actually thinking that we're superior because we're globe earth idea. No, you're not. You're in a framework right now of only thinking a specific thing. And that framework is you can't think outside of globe because you're stupid if you think that all these intellects in academia are wrong. You're just wrong. You're a science denier. And that's why you're like, I'm so curious to know what these flat earthers are thinking. No, I'm so curious why people stop thinking, like all the people that come in here and ask us why would they lie? What's the motive? Like, you guys don't realize the implications of not being able to think. And so really that right there is the answer to your question directly. It stops critical thinking on its face. That's it. Another question?
I feel like no more questions. I'll tell you if I think of them.
Sure. We're here 24/7.
Ay.
I know critical thinking's a wonderful thing, but to the people that don't like to, it's ay.
Hey, Mayhem. How you going?
Yep. What's up, dude?
We spoke earlier to Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked for a while. I was been trying to come at everything from like a logical standpoint, as I'm sure you know, like as you have been, which has been great to have an educated topic.
Indeed.
And there's been a few people, such as I think his name was India 007. I presume he's the. It makes sense.
He's
Probably
another,
15-year-old.
Yeah, he's another one of our intellects. Actually, he's the chairman of the server who just popped in here right now.
Well, he just is talking about making fun of people, which I think is not very, very professional.
Who did I make fun of? Hey, no. Taste when I made fun of somebody.
Pardon?
Who'd I make fun of?
No, I said I addressed you saying you guys are making fun of him yet.
And I said you could be next.
Nothing.
Like we'll stop making fun of them. And
next, okay.
Yeah, that was a question, right? Did you actually read it?
Yes, and then I said it's a valid question to understand what someone's thoughts are regarding the shape of the Earth.
Why? Can I ask you why is that?
You gave it the wheelchair emoji making fun of disabled people.
No, I was making fun of you.
Being in a wheelchair, how?
Because you can't figure out the shape of the Earth by analyzing human psychology, dude. Can you?
I believe it. It's an important question, though. I think it's important to know where the thought processes are coming from.
I'm going to keep asking you why. Why is it an important question?
Just as people consume the media, you know, for the so believe, like fake companies such as NASA, you believe are pumping out false information. There's a human psychology element behind it for why they.
Okay, why is it important? Can I ask it again? I'm going to keep asking it.
Okay.
Well, but we can do the same thing for you.
Why is it important?
Why do you believe in all this? Why is it
important to know the psychology of a human being? Why?
I think that's what I was trying to touch on earlier. Why specifically? So I understand. Yep. When I live my day-to-day life, the Earth may as well be flat. I understand it doesn't affect me either way if it's round or not. And I guess I want to interrogate what those specific implications are.
I told you though, didn't I? That we went over this.
You gave one example, but that example doesn't necessarily have to be predicated on a flat Earth, and you never really elaborated on that fact.
But here's a question, Rask. Here's a question. I told you it stunts critical thinking, and you didn't ask me anything further. And I said, please elaborate. If there's any more questions you have, ask them. And you said no.
And I'm giving it, and I'm elaborating. It's just come back to me now.
You are.
Okay. And I thought you gave me an invitation to do so, but
I did. But the thing is, it's got to be formed in a way that we can answer you directly and not state as a vague claim on our part. So if you're asking something specifically,
you can't answer me what the specific implications are. Is what you're telling me.
Well, I told you specifically. First of all, it was
no, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You can put it. You can put it in the live stream voice channel where you want, because you told us to put all our information into there, so you can put your information into there too.
Right, we're talking about
it should work both ways, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I know, but when he's saying though, right now, supports the idea that no one's ever going to look into this because you guys think you have us under the microscope. We have you guys under the microscope. Everybody who thinks that the Earth is a globe is lambasted with ideas that the Earth is a globe by everyday reality. Right? You turn on the news, global is that, globe this. You got globe everywhere. The term itself is in our vernacular. So all you have is saying that like robots. You don't have any critical thinking. I'm telling you, it's the thing that's stunting your mind. And you then are turning around and saying, oh, but give me something else. That is the single most important thing for you to figure things out, is your critical thinking skills. If you lack that, you will not be able to understand shit. And this is the most important part. And so Rask is asking for, yeah. Critical thinking. What else, dude? You're not answering my question. I'm like, that is the answer. Critical thinking is the way you are able to rationalize and understand certain topics that we discuss in here, because if you can't engage with that, then you're at a loss. Like everything we tell you, doesn't matter what it is, you're going to come up bankrupt every single time. Well, that's not the answer. And you're like, yeah, because you're not listening and engaging with critical thinking. It's very obvious. That's why I'm stressing it right now. You think that I'm not answering the question. It's directly answering the reason why you can't perceive what we're saying. Very obvious.
Still a very incoherent answer. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't comprehend the answer, or you just don't like it.
The implications, right, does not necessarily have to be. Sure, there are other facets where the powers that be could interrogate our critical thinking. I just don't understand why specifically.
That's motive, though. That's motive. That's not just you ask. And I asked you at the very beginning of this. Are you talking about motive? You're like, no. I want to know the ideology of why it would be like stopping us from. And I gave it to you. It's
semantics. Ideology.
If you want to know
semantics,
motive,
dude. You guys are just saying fucking random words you don't understand.
Semantics. Hey man,
it's not semantics, dude.
Hey man, calm down. Jesus, all right, calm down.
Well, just repeating yourself does not make you right.
I feel like the things have been very.
I don't care how you feel either. Who cares, dude?
Hey, buddy, calm down. We're having a conversation.
This guy.
No, we aren't having a conversation. We're talking, and you're talking right past us because you're not actually listening to the answers.
Mm-hmm. Or you don't like the answers first.
So, I want to address Kieran. Said that because we talk about you say it isn't a politics server, yet you bring up the Antarctic Treaty. Were we talking about the politics of the Antarctic Treaty?
Yes, we're talking about
Were we talking about the politics of the Antarctic Treaty?
Yes, we were.
Dude, shut the fuck up, Raskin. Were we talking about the politics of the Antarctic Treaty?
Yes, we were.
Okay, what do we talk about the politics of it? What exactly did we say?
And stated what?
Yeah, what did we talk about the politics of the Antarctic Treaty as a policy?
Okay, let me explain.
Yeah, go ahead.
So he sent the legislation of the Antarctic Treaty, which was made throughout the senates of the various nations. They collaboratively came together and said, "Hey, we need to stop people flying here. Yeah. Environmental reasons. Yeah, also." If plane crashes, there's nowhere for them to safely get help. There's nowhere for them to refuel, blah, blah, blah. They discuss this, lawmakers, politicians in a Senate. They make the bills of the bills that are passed worldwide, the anti-terrorism bills, the anti-fishing bills, the anti-hunting bills. It's all to do with politics, and he sent that link. In which highlights that
has nothing to do with what we're talking about. The politics of how the treaty was passed is irrelevant, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about its mere existence restricts travel. Yes or no?
Pardon? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The mere existence of the treaty restricts travel. Why? What the policy idea was of why it was created is irrelevant to the fact that it exists.
I think it is relevant because there's meaning behind why it was created. And if you can't identify,
it's not a part of our argument, though. It's not our argument. It's your fucking idea in your head. It's not what we're saying. We didn't say the politics of the Antarctic Treaty. We don't care what the politics are. We only care that it exists.
Yeah, if you real quick.
So it's not a hypocritical argument. You two think you're clever. You're not. We've done this thousands of times. Thousands. You guys are both newbies.
I'm not saying I'm clever. I'm just trying to have a conversation, and you're being.
So real quick.
No, you're trying to create a narrative like the other guy. Okay, you're trying to talk about flat earthers instead of flat Earth. Want to know what we're not talking about? We're not talking about evidence, are we? We're not talking about objective empirical evidence of the figure of the Earth, are we?
Let me
We're
just
talking about psychosocial bullshit, bro.
Yeah, real quick before anybody else answers, I posted a link to my Rumble chat. So if you guys want to go there, go ahead and drop a follow there, and you'll see that when I go live, all these conversations will be recorded also, so you can look back and see what you guys were talking about.
Nice, yeah.
So I'm gonna just ask you a really simple question. If all the government officials on Earth signed confessions, we're lying about the shape of the Earth, would that prove the shape of the Earth?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat that? I was checking out Mumbles.
Live.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you the same question again. Okay.
Yep.
if all the government officials, right, they signed confessions. All the NASA officials signed confessions. All the space agencies, they signed confessions. We lied. The Earth is flat. Would that prove that the Earth is flat?
You asking you just said that we shouldn't be asking these hypothetical questions.
Yeah. Okay, just answer. It's an exercise, right, on the evidentiary value of knowing why would they lie, who's lying, any of that shit. Okay, I'm answering the question. I'm illustrating that it's fucking irrelevant. Because even signed confessions wouldn't prove the proposition. Would they?
I understand where you're coming from.
So what's the answer to the answer to the question doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, of course it doesn't.
Okay, so why are we talking about it?
We're talking about it because you asked about the policies regarding Antarctica.
No,
it's not sinking in, isn't it?
When I scroll up in the chat and I think about what that other douche said, you guys want to talk about us, you want to talk about everything, you want to talk about human sociology, and I know why, because it's subjective bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's subjective. I don't think it's bullshit, though, but I think it's subjective based on everyone's opinions.
Yeah, we're not basing this on everyone's opinions, Kieran. We're basing this on evidence.
Is the shape of the Earth an opinion?
Well, it's a combination of evidence which someone is led to believe.
No, but what it actually is,
I think it is
outside of human ideas. Does it actually have an objective form?
There's no. Well, outside of human consciousness, are we talking about psychology again? Are we?
No, dude. Now, there's ideas about what the figure of the Earth is, right? And they're all flawed, obviously, because no one has perfect knowledge. So outside of those ideas, does it have something? Does it exist in some form, objectively?
Well, not to us, no, but it does exist, yes.
Oh, that's a bold
So it's
statement.
not subjective.
Not to us, but it does exist. How do you deal with that, Kieran?
Well,
who's us?
We don't know. We don't know.
No, but you said not to us, not to us as in humans, but it does exist in reality. What do you mean?
I mean, it could. There's a theoretical aspect to it.
So it could. It changed from theoretical. Yeah, but it changed from something objective to subjective. You said it was. Now it could. So you see how that just changed?
Yeah, I understand your statement.
Right. So I'm actually getting you to think. We're engaging with your critical thinking skills here.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do that,
I'm enjoying having this conversation with someone who's actually calm, not yelling and swearing. I appreciate it.
Well, all right, but here's the thing, though, man. Like a lot of this gets lost within the fact that you guys think that you're examining us and what we think. We're actually, it's in reverse. We're examining why you are still thinking the way you think because of the fact when you come in here, it's blatantly obvious to us that there's no investigation taken upon this information. It's just like, all right, tell me what you think. I'm going to sit back on this comfy chair and convince me why the Earth is flat, like some ridiculous king. Like we don't owe you anything. What we do, what we are going to do is we're going to challenge you to think differently. And whether you take that challenge up or not, that is up to you. I said this already once, but
yeah.
Let me ask you this, Kieran. Can you actually form a logical statement that supports the globe?
You mean based on evidence?
No, based upon evidence. Yeah, that would be in the logical statement, but you need a logical statement in which to put the evidence within so you can reach a conclusion.
Well, I personally haven't done tests on the Earth to prove it's being round, so I can't know.
But let's assume there's evidence and it exists, and we all have the same evidence, which we do. We all have the same evidence. The thing is, that evidence has to be interpreted by a human being to draw a conclusion. That's why we have things like logic, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Can you use logic to construct a statement from the evidence that supports the Earth as a globe?
Well, the evidence from we talked about this before, Mayhem. That I'm going to butcher his pronunciation of the name. I think it was
Ulag Beg.
Ulag. Thank you. Yeah, people like him who Who determines that Earth is on an axis?
I guess I'm not going to get an answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really simple, right? Do you know what a logical statement is? There's two premises and a conclusion.
Yep.
Yeah. So can you construct a logical statement in which the conclusion, therefore, the Earth is a globe, from two premises, and those premises can contain evidence?
Yeah, as the blue jumper said, someone I never met figured it out. That's a good point to say.
Yeah, I know, but it's not answer like Kieran. Either you can answer the question that's been given to you.
Well, no, I can't.
That's
and nobody else can.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear you
can.
say. Yeah, we want to hear you. That's an admittance to like why this isn't possible. Not only that you can't, it's not even possible to do so. So you can't
and
even
you know why?
in a logical statement.
Yeah, I'm actually building off what you said, Miggy, is that we want you to come here and critically think, right? Part of critical thinking is logic. That's what the purpose of logic is. That's what critical thinking means. Correct. And if the globe, and if you've never realized before that you can't even construct a logical statement that supports the globe, then you haven't been critically thinking up until this point.
Right.
Yeah.
That does support what I've been saying this whole morning to you guys, Kieran.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm in Australia, so evening.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying your buddy TeDdy came in here spouting off the N-word, and I don't want to let you guys slip through the cracks. I don't. I care about every person critically. Yeah. So I care about every person critically thinking about the topic. So whether or not you guys assume to be trolls or take a position of just like ignorance, I don't care. You have to have a shot.
I mean, we've
least.
had a pretty logical. Do you think I'm a troll based on the?
No. I'm saying so far it's actually been productive, but we've had a bit of resistance from your group.
Of course, I still believe in Santa.
Yeah. So it irritates me when a globe earther says the word logic because they have no idea. When they say logic in the globe, it blows my mind. It's just like a buzzword they're saying. They're trying to give it artificial support by using the word logic, like there's some logic behind it. There's no logic behind it. You can't even get to every single statement supporting the globe contains the logical fallacy of affirming the consequent. Every single one.
Yeah.
That's right.
So my friend
Okay, so that means if every single statement contains a logical fallacy, then that means your claim the Earth is a globe is irrational by definition. Irrational.
What'd you say?
Because
Kieran?
rationality and logic are synonymous. So if you're being illogical, you are being irrational.
You said something about your friend?
Yeah, he just wanted to speak. Shabzz.
Ooh. Shabzz can speak? I unmuted him.
He doesn't have a role.
Oh, he definitely did. He come back? Oh, he might have come back.
I'll give him the 1-2.
Hey guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Did you want to ask something?
Yeah. So I was wondering. So why do you think that the motivation, like the government's, let's say, motivation to lie about Earth not being
the beginning?
Right?
Yeah. The motivation would be right. So I think I was answering this prior to you entering the chat. I'm going to answer you directly. Right. So it's control the population. So the information that's given right now, the agenda is that the Earth is a globe. Correct? Most academia actually teaches this. So you understand there seems to be some controlling interest into kind of giving everybody this mindset. So with that comes a laundry list of things that are attached to it. It's actually a loaded kind of question, the motive question, but it's also supported by you understanding that the governments do lie to its people, right? We've talked about this topically a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not denying the governments don't lie. That's
right.
They definitely lie. There's no argument.
So with controlling interest in having an agenda such as the Earth is a globe, you start to realize that it makes sense that they would kind of tell people this information. Because if everything's been explored, if everything's already discovered, if we know all the mysteries of the universe, then why would you need to do anything else but lay back and just hear them tell you what the Earth is via their information? So they could tell you, We send rockets up. We are doing this. We found a planet. There's an asteroid coming. There's no resources. God doesn't exist. Any agenda that they speak of, it sounds like they're speaking truth because they're the arbiters of knowledge and the gatekeepers of it as well. So in order for you to get higher learning, you got to go through them. You can't engage anymore with your critical thinking because you don't have the mind for understanding certain things in reality. You got to go to them. And so they become the gatekeepers for that knowledge, in which you have to go to school. And if you're not educated, then you're just a brainless idiot. So without that, it's not a method of control. So having that, these intellects that are here now on the earth wax themselves to be intelligent because they feel like they are educated in some idea that the earth is a globe and the cosmos and astronomy and all kinds of things, right? Mathematical constructs. So you look to those guys for the answers, don't you? When in reality, you can learn exactly what they have and be in the same position without the idea that you think you're living in a ever expanding cosmology, whirling and twirling around the sun. Like all these things can be derived without even having to know what they know. So this knowledge that they're telling you that the earth is doing something or the earth is actually not perceived as a globe on its ground level, but when you get higher, you can see it as a globe. All of that is information given to you by them. And when you want to know more, where do you go? To them. So guess what? It is control, Shabzz. And they have full control of that knowledge. And they're using it to their advantage, and you're letting them. That's even scarier, is you're letting them.
They even use it to control where you think knowledge is and who has the knowledge.
That's scary.
Right.
It's a double whammy, right? So these are where all the smart people are. Says who? The smart people, right?
Yep.
It's like the government saying trust us. Why should we trust us? Where the government source the government, like it's bullshit.
So,
but regardless, who do you think would be lying? Who would have to be lying? Like out of all the people on Earth, like who would be lying? How many? 1 million, 10 million, 30 million, a billion? Like 20 people? Like how many people have to be lying? Like how big do you think that this lie would have to be?
You mean like the round Earth lie, or?
Yeah.
The people that know the Earth is flat and promote the globe. Because a lie is intentional deception, so you have to know the truth, right? You can't people that run around like you. If you tell somebody the Earth's the globe, you're not lying. You believe
you're not lying.
So.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a very big distinction, and he outlined it for you.
Right. I mean, I get that, but I feel like again we've kind of just deviated from the point. If we're talking about methods of control, why is flat Earth specifically just so much more important than anything else?
Because it's a foundation.
It's get you to deny reality, man.
It's a foundation for your baseline knowledge of where you think you are in this world
and what you should do.
It's existential.
If they can tell you that the ground that you stand on is actually doing something other than what you see it doing, and it's actually moving other than what you can perceive it to be doing, then they could sell you anything. Imagine being that good of a salesman where they can pitch something to you like, hey man, you're moving. You're like, I don't feel like I'm moving. They're like, you are. Don't worry about it. Trust us. Oh, and by the way, there's curvature to this earth. You're like, I don't see it. Where? Just don't worry about it. It's there. And you're like, can we measure it? They're like, no, we've calculated it. Don't worry. And so you've given your mind over to that and like, okay, I guess I'm not smart enough to figure this out. Let them tell me what the earth is then. And you just allow yourself to be taken advantage of on the daily without stopping to think, wait, did I look into this? Did I check this out? Did I verify this? No. I'll just believe him. You think that's fair?
But again, I would disagree with that because I don't think...
How?
I mean, me personally, right? And I think this would apply to most people. I didn't check it out, not because I didn't think I was smart enough, but because it just doesn't make a difference. I can go about my day without having to wonder whether or not the
Shabzz. It makes a difference because they are controlling your mind. When you are indifferent, Shabzz, when you're indifferent about it, they've already done their job. They're kind of dusting their hands off like, oh, good job, guys.
You don't believe what you're saying.
We got Shabzz to be indifferent about the topic. Wonderful. Now you're not going to look at it on the base knowledge of like, why does it matter? Bullshit,
Look,
dude. It does matter to you because you're here right now.
Exactly. That's exactly. He doesn't believe what he's actually saying. Okay.
I mean, if you were not curious,
then why are you here?
Yeah, if you're not curious, you'd be playing Minecraft. Listen, Shabzz. If
it didn't matter, you wouldn't be here. You're going to go somewhere to waste your time intentionally?
You'd be playing Minecraft right now, not worrying about what flat earthers think. But the fact that you're here, it shows us that the curiosity of the questioner, even the fact that there's flat earth people, that makes you curious. And that curiosity is not nurtured. It's kind of discarded. Like the way you want to do right now, your mind is like, dude, we need to bust out of here, man. This is getting nuts. So when you stay here, it shows interest in the topic. It shows that you don't want to leave. Even if we sound like you sound a little bit like a resistance is coming, doesn't matter. You're still curious. You want to know, right? So that curiosity part should be nurtured. It shouldn't be discarded. Which hopefully you actually take this when I'm saying into consideration.
I want to bring.
I mean, I'm curious about. It's true. I am curious about the way you think and the way you perceive this topic. But
the way we think, and how's that?
Because I think differently to you, so naturally the way you think intrigues me.
How do you think, and how does the way we think different?
Because well, we clearly have differing opinions. I don't get how that's a question.
It's not an opinion.
It's not an opinion,
it's a fact. It's a fact.
See, but again, we agree.
Have you ever observed the Earth as a globe?
Shabzz, it's not an agree to disagree position, my friend. It's not agree to disagree. It's either right or wrong. We in here are right or we're wrong. So what we're asking you right now,
I think you're wrong. That's I keep saying
okay, that's fine. Okay, you say we're wrong. Prove us wrong then. Prove us wrong. Can you do that?
Well, look, we've already tried. Like I've already tried.
No. You can't get away from it now. You can't get away from it now because if you think we're wrong, prove it that we're wrong. Don't just say we're wrong. Prove it.
If you don't have evidence,
if you don't have evidence, Shabzz, we're gonna dismiss your case of you saying that we're wrong. We're gonna dismiss it. It's gonna be like outright.
That's just because you don't want to hear me out, though.
I want you to prove us. If we're wrong, prove us wrong. That's what I'm asking for. Prove us wrong.
But it's impossible to prove you because you don't agree to logic.
It's impossible. Agree to logic. What are you talking about? We're the ones telling you about. We're the ones telling you about using logic.
Yeah, what logic is that? What logic don't we agree with?
Well, it's just science.
Spell it out for us.
No.
Science isn't logic.
There's also been visual proof that the Earth is round, but that still doesn't seem to work.
Stop. You're gish galloping right now. You're gish galloping.
What visual proof?
Visual proof, images.
Such as? Images are visual proof. In this day and age, images are visual proof. That's craziness, man.
We got to go back. We can't gish gallop to every single question you're going to fire here. You said science. Now, I want you to tell us, because we're wrong, right? Tell us what science is, Shabzz. I'm going to mute you now. I will continue to start muting you because you keep gish galloping. Stop with everything that I'm asking you to. I'm moderating the conversation, Shabzz. Tell me what you think science is, because you said we don't believe in science. That's something.
What do you mean? What do I think science is?
What is science? Define it.
It's science is just science. It's the study of in this context, let's say science is the study of what the Earth looks in this specific scenario.
As what the Earth looks? Is that what you said?
I'm saying in this specific context, science is applied to determine how Earth looks.
That's a category error. No.
That's the crazy shit I heard, bro.
You define science.
You don't use science for a what is question. You use science for a how why question. What is the cause of the effect? And manipulating independent variable to find out what's causing that effect. You have to go through a hypothesis test. You didn't even know that, Shabzz.
What?
And you don't what? You sound
science is the scientific method, which is based upon experiment.
Yeah.
On the physical and natural
you're defining experimentation. You're not defining science.
What do you mean by that? You're saying that science. Listen, when you think about how it applies to the Earth, how are you going to apply science to the Earth, Shabzz? Go ahead, apply it to the Earth.
Experiment, right?
Like what? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Then are we right back to where I was telling you?
No, I get it.
Yeah. Exactly. You get it now.
Well, so you know what we were talking about earlier?
Hang on, Shabzz. Hang on. Now that you get it, you were incorrect, were you not? So I was right, you were wrong. Remember, It's always about right and wrong here. We're not going off of I agree to disagree.
I'm not getting a conclusion on that at all, but sure.
Okay, the conclusion is you were wrong, and to say that we were wrong. That's the conclusion.
Just closed-minded. My conclusion
it's not closed-minded. No, it's not closed-minded. I just proved it to you right now.
You're objectively wrong, Shabzz.
I just proved it to you. Right now.
How?
You're hitting a cognitive
because you said science is an experiment.
What
right?
Is it no? What?
You said science is an experiment, right? Yes or no?
Science defined doesn't mean experiment.
Yeah, it's the systematics, the study of the natural world and the things in it.
Sure.
By systematic experimentation.
You just agreed
cause and effect relationships.
Do you hear yourself, Shabzz? You just agreed with him, where previously you were denying it.
Okay, so what experiments would you use to prove this?
All right, stop 1 second.
You can't. It's a category error.
Yeah, first of all, it's category error, but first you have to acknowledge when you were wrong and admit it. It's a confession of you trying to argue a point where you say that we're wrong, and we're not wrong, we're right. And you need to admit that, because you think that just by agreeing with something is also not saying that you were wrong, but you were wrong and you were corrected. Now that you know, we were right. Is this correct?
Sure.
Okay, let's move forward then. What is your next question about experiments?
No, I think I'm good.
Well, if you have any more questions about it, you need to know in our discussion. But we're not going to leave you empty-handed. We want you to absolutely know where you stand. And you have to be able to question, Shabzz. That's the whole thing. Be curious. No one's ever challenged you this way. And so being challenged being challenged is not something wrong. It's it's just a process.
If NASA showed you video of Jesus walking on water, would you suddenly become religious?
I mean, I already am religious, but yeah. What?
You would. If NASA showed you pictures of Jesus walking on water, you'd just be like, I'm a Christian now.
If they could be authenticated.
Oh, they could be by whom? Themselves?
Exactly. They can't be authenticated though. That's the question you're asking is so relevant.
NASA's images to be authenticated.
No, because we can't go back in time.
Back in time? What do you mean back in time?
To get videos of Jesus walking, you would have to go back in time.
No, listen.
He came back, dude, and he's at Lake Titicaca walking on water, and NASA got a picture of him. Would you believe that?
The question was, what type of rigor would you actually put to the idea that was actually the case? What type of rigor would you then put to it? And you said it correctly. Well, I'd have to investigate by testing it. And so you said that to him. In the same instance, you should be saying that to the globe. When they show you these images from NASA, you should be using that same type of rigor you just told Indio. You're using that same mindset against what you're telling us to do, but at the same time, you should be doing it yourself. Do you see what's happening? You're starting to see our point.
Right.
Because you consider space as something that's that's a foregone conclusion. That's just normal. But, in reality, the idea of outer space and things floating around in it is an extraordinary claim. And I can tell you why. And I'll tell you why it's an extraordinary claim. In the average human experience, in everybody's human experience, when they let go of something, typically it falls to the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, relative density, sure.
In the video on the so-called International Space Station and all the other space stations, when they drop something, does it fall to the ground?
Sorry, can you repeat that? There's chickens in the Minecraft world.
On the International Space Station, when they drop something, does it fall down?
You mean when they're inside the station?
Yeah, when they let something go, does it fall to the ground?
No, it floats.
Okay, so when someone says, I go to a place where you drop something and it just floats, is that an extraordinary claim?
Not when you think about gravitational the effect of gravity.
So you can make up a story in your head, a magical story that somehow that's not extraordinary anymore?
No, well, it's normal once you think. See, again,
It's not normal. It's an extraordinary claim. Okay, there's more extraordinary claims. They say they look out a window, right? and they see curving water. Is that an extraordinary claim? Have you ever seen curving water? An extraordinary claim means it's out of the ordinary, right? So, curving water, out of the ordinary. Letting something go, having it float, that's out of the ordinary. By default, they're making an extraordinary claim. Well, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, just like Jesus Christ walking on water.
All right,
they just don't get the benefit of the doubt because I'm NASA.
All right, so the evidence.
I don't get the water thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
Curving water, you don't understand that.
So basically, it's like when you see these Shabzz. It's like when you see these images from NASA, right? You got the ISS images, like it shows you the curving Earth. You know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the curving Earth, you see the oceans look like they're curving, right? On those images, yes or no?
Right.
So the water's curving, essentially, right?
Sure.
Okay. Are you with me so far, or am I losing you in what I just said?
No, I'm with you for now, yeah.
Okay. So if that is the case, and they're showing us curving water from space, then we could translate that down to the Earth, where you and I are, and see what is the measurement for this curving water. Because it's curving at a specific rate. Is this true? If we're seeing these images, wouldn't it be true?
Not on all. It depends because
not
you
on
have the
all.
moon. It creates tides.
So we're seeing no. I'm not talking about that. Stay with me, okay? Please stay with me. We're talking about the images from NASA, and we're looking at the oceans like they're curving, right? Stay with me. Don't get lost in any other idea. So if we're going to translate that to the Earth, and we're going to be on the Earth doing a test, do you think that we'd be able to find out that curve exists on the Earth from the vantage point of being down on the ground?
No, from the ground you wouldn't be able to tell.
Okay. All right. So you're telling me now, check this out. I want you to think about what you just said. That everybody who's determined that the Earth is a globe by being on the ground is wrong. By what you just said.
From simple eyesight? Yeah, I would think so.
From math.
No, I would disagree because math can.
Oh, now you're disagreeing. So you're going back to now it is curving with math. Okay. Now you agree that it's curving with math, right? Is that what you said? I want to hold you to everything you say. You say it's
I thought you didn't like math.
No, I'm asking you a question. This is you. This is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're telling us that we can know that the Earth is curving by math, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can. What math can we find out how much the Earth is curving?
Is it not just distance dropped?
Do you know or no? Because you're making claims right now. I'm gonna test you to see if you can verify your claims. What math can we use to see if the Earth is curving? Like the way NASA pictures are telling us from curving water.
Don't know how to explain. Me personally, I don't know the math.
You personally don't know the math, but you think math exists to support the claim that the Earth is curving.
Well, do you know?
Is this true? Hang on, TeDdy.
Do you know the math? I'm just
no.
curious.
It's not. That's a burden. Hold on, TeDdy. That's a burden of proof reversal. I'm asking him the question. He hasn't given me the answer directly. He's now asking me to provide evidence for a claim.
But I have given you an answer. I already told you I don't know.
Shabzz, that's not my. You don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I told you I don't know the math.
Right.
You don't know, and then you made a prediction about what the math says. Do you understand what you're doing?
Yeah, you don't know is the true answer. No, listen. Hang on a second.
We do, but that's irrelevant.
I'm gonna have to stop you. Sorry about this, Shabzz. I'm gonna have to stop you. Okay, so you're making a claim that you knew, now you don't know. You're flip-flopping back to like when I started from the NASA pictures of the curving water, translating it back down to Earth, and then you said, well, you can't know how big the Earth is. And I'm like, really? That's a bold statement. Then everybody on Earth can't know that the Earth is curving. And you said, no, we can know with math. I said, that's fine. What math? Do you know that math? And then you tell me that you don't know the math. So, are you just making baseless claims that you think you know that the Earth is curving based on the pictures from NASA? I'm going to unmute you now. Please respond.
Look, honestly, I'm pretty sure if you took a big fat ruler, right? Like a really, really, really long ruler, and you put it at any point in the...
You didn't respond to my question, Shabzz. I'm asking you directly. Please respond directly. Do you know?
He didn't.
Please respond.
He didn't listen to your question.
Yeah, I didn't listen to your question. Sorry about that.
All right.
How did I know that?
we went from
You're
you
so
saying,
smart, man. Congratulations.
no, I need
No,
you
you
to
guys
stop,
are all the
Shabazz.
same. That's the problem.
Listen, what's happening is you're starting to spiral. Relax. I'm asking you,
Right.
it's a line of logic, right? From seeing NASA pictures with curving water going down to Earth, us, you and me, checking to see if that's true or not. I said, can we know if the Earth is curving? You said no. And then I was like, well, that's weird because people on Earth were telling us that the Earth is curving way before anybody went up in space. So how is it possible that we knew that before then? And then you said math. I said, that's fine. What math? You didn't give that math to me because you said, I don't know. So in reality, the whole premise that the Earth is curving at the set rate that it's supposed to be is I don't know from your perspective. So you're telling us now that you don't know, which is truly your original. It should be your original stance is that you don't know, but you proceeded to say you do know because you see NASA pictures, but you don't know how to verify those NASA pictures with curving water, which is the most important, essential piece of evidence that you need to verify that claim. Does this make any sense to you, Shabzz?
Sure. Yeah. No, it does. It's just
what? We're right and you're wrong. That's the way it stands. Because that's what you said. We were wrong.
About right and wrong. Like
we are.
I'm confused because
Shabzz TeDdy. Shabazz said that we were. He said we agree to disagree. Right. That was the first. And I said it's not an agree to disagree, Shabazz. It's a right and wrong thing. Either we're right and you're wrong, or you're right and we're wrong. But he says
we
no,
have opinions.
You're just wording it well enough to create reasonable doubt as all.
Are we wrong? Are we wrong, Shabazz?
I think
I don't think anyone's wrong.
So based upon your ignorance, you don't think we're right. Congratulations, you played yourself.
You can say it's ignorance, but you have...
It is ignorance. You admitted it.
You admitted I don't know, Shabazz. To everybody in here and everybody listening.
It's your ignorance. You don't know the answers to your own questions. You just decided I'm not even going to question it. I'll just go wrong like an NPC.
And that's true. You don't know. But that's exactly where they want
you. Sound like an NPC.
Listen, why are you getting frustrated, Shabazz? Because here's the part where you can actually experience some growth in your critical thinking. You can actually admit to yourself that you were wrong and they are wrong, the ones showing this information, and then you can now explore what then is the truth. Instead of it being that you're right and we're wrong. You could say, well, I could be wrong, right? At least that much.
No, I mean, I could be wrong about a lot of stuff. That's not something I'm denying.
Even this.
Look, honestly, I feel like this one's a pretty cut and dry one. It's just
which one? Which one's cut and dry? Which one?
The entire flat Earth thing. I feel like it should be pretty cut and dry, but
it is cut and dry. It is cut and dry, Shabazz. We're telling you can observe the Earth to be flat. You can navigate across the Earth that's flat, and you can measure that it's flat. It is cut and dry. You've been bamboozled with all this globe nonsense since you were young. We all have. We don't have anybody to stop and tell us. Have you checked to see if the Earth is a globe like they're telling you? Nobody's ever told us that. But we are. We are telling you that. So there are people that are quote unquote whistleblowing. It's us. I'm gonna mute Raskitalian. I don't know why. Rask, why were you muted? Anyway.
He was interrupting, but he's not.
Oh.
You can unmute him.
I'm just listening.
Anyway, it is cut and dry from where we stand, but you can't see it because you've been indoctrinated to know that it's not flat and stationary. You've been indoctrinated to know that it's a globe and not to question. That's the most important part of it. Not to question. That's it. And what do we say when we question you? Well, I'm not a scientist. And then you defer to those guys. And of course, there goes your mind. You're not going to think about it anymore because you just deferred. And then these idiot people who call themselves scientists, right? We asked them the question, the very same questions we're asking you. And what do you think they tell us? The guys you guys appeal to. That this is their best guess. This is their best guess. That's all we get from these guys.
They'd say the same thing you do.
Science doesn't prove anything.
How do you know?
Weird.
So you're telling me a scientist has actually told you?
Yes.
And I'm meant to just take that at face value?
Oh, no, it's recorded.
Recorded. I have them on my channel.
I'll listen to the recording.
I have them on my channel. They've been on this channel. They've been cosmologists, astrophysicists, PhDs. They come in here.
Island surveyors,
satellite engineers, satellite engineers. It doesn't matter who. No one knows the answers to these questions, let alone some young person on the internet.
They all think somebody else has it.
Yep.
Wait, I have a question. How do you think Starlink works?
Starlink? How do you think it works? That's not our claim. We don't talk about
there's a radio receiver that picks up radio waves.
Where do you think the radio waves come from?
Could come from anywhere. Radio waves don't have a limitation of travel. You just think they do.
Well, look, no, they do. They definitely do.
No, they don't.
Oh my
so
God.
They definitely. No, if you think they don't, you're just a fucking idiot.
I would be able to speak to you.
Okay, so in 1918, when Marconi broadcast from UK to Australia, that didn't happen.
You haven't looked into this topic,
Do you think
Shabazz.
a radio wave can travel infinitely?
You haven't looked into this topic, Shabazz. You're going to get schooled again, dude.
The irony of that statement. Do I think a radio wave travel infinitely? No, I do not. But
Shabazz, you don't know, bro. Like, you need to back down from this question. You're not knowledgeable. I say do the research first, and then come at this argument, because you're going to get like slammed and dunked on, and you don't want that right now.
So during World War,
you still haven't answered a simple question, which is like the first thing.
We have answered you.
No, like the initial.
What do you mean we haven't answered you?
If a person goes around Earth, and they have, right? We know that people have been around Earth before.
I answered you.
Started at a point, ended at a point.
I answered that question. I said, "How does?" I answered. Remember the question how I ended?
How did you answer?
Listen, I said, "How can you determine whether the Earth is a globe or flat from that position?" And you said, "That's right. I wouldn't know." Remember? We can pull up the audio when you said that. This is all being recorded. That's what the question. How we answered that, because I told you, how can you determine whether you're on a globe or whether you're in a flat stationary plane? How can you determine that from a flight path? You cannot from a position of being up in the air. You already.
I'm not talking about being up in the air. I'm not talking about being up in the air.
Well, where are you at?
Let's just say in the water. Someone's gone around in the water.
That can't still the same. Shabazz, you cannot determine the geometric shape of the Earth from a travel logistically on Earth. You don't know. You can't. That's not.
You don't need to determine. Okay.
Well, then how do you know it's a globe or flat?
You can determine it if you've gone around.
I just finished. Dude,
just going in a circle, Shabazz. That's all you're doing is going in a circle on either.
Your argument is circular right now, because I just told you cannot determine
like the Earth.
You cannot determine what the Earth is by traveling on the surface or in the air. You cannot determine what it is from that. You can say that it definitely is not something by measuring if it's something or not. That's what you can do to determine, not by traveling over it. Because I asked you the question, is it a globe or you're flying on a plane or flat? And you were like, well, it could be either one. There you go. That's your answer. If you can't determine it, that's the answer. Then how can you determine it? Well, it's simple. Measure it. That's it. That's the answer. Not fly over a flight path.
I'll go measure real quick. Yeah.
You haven't asked how to do it. We're happy to tell you.
Actually?
Yes, we're happy to tell you. There's nothing that you're going to leave here without any questions. If you don't ask those questions, you'll never know. Never.
How do I measure?
It's simple. You do a line of sight test over a distance that can be measured specifically from a body of water, because as you know, when the NASA pictures, the waters are curving, right? So water has no land topography to deal with. So we don't have to deal with the mountains, hills, valleys, and all that kind of stuff. So we don't have indents in the land. So to cause our evaluation of the test to be askew. So we need to do a proper test. It needs to be over water. Now with water, we don't deal with land topography, right? As you know. So with a little bit of swells and waves, we can deal with that. So as far as we can see, it gives us a greater line of sight. Does that sound fair so far?
Yeah.
Okay, with a greater line of sight, we can use something in the water, right? Let's say, first of all, we get a position of like observation. The position of observation should be a fixed point on the beach. And from that fixed point on the beach, we're going to do a line of sight test to as far as we can with things that can demarcate a distance. So something in the water, right, that can show us the distance where we're at on the beach to where that thing is in the water. Then, like, let's say an oil rig, right? And preferably one that's already been done, like one that we call the Black Swan. Use the position where you're at to where that thing is. You have a known distance, right? So we're going to check the sphericity of the claim of the globe. You need to realize that you need to have this information. What is the radius, diameter, and circumference of the Earth, Shabzz?
But I believe the radius is 6.6 times 10 to the 7 meters.
You're close, yeah.
Diameter
you can look it up. Like, I'm not saying, and I'm only telling you this because you can look it up as well, right? Public knowledge.
Right.
So with that information, I just want to get to the point here. With that information, you're going to go to the Earth, and like I said, on the beach with the level of elevation, however you are, like 1 foot off the water or whatever, and you're going to shoot across the body of water and see, like I said before, the oil rig. And then from with the oil rig to the observer, we're going to have a known distance. We're going to have that set. And then we're going to know how far the horizon is from the place of where we're making the observation. Where that observation is to where the horizon is the most important part of this line of sight test. Because that observation, the observation is of the horizon. Now, the definition of horizon is where the sky meets the earth. And you can look this up. It's in the Oxford dictionary, which the defined term for horizon is where the sky meets the earth. So that's what we're most interested in at the moment. So we're going to find where that horizon is due to the fact that we have some key components, right? We know the distance between us and the oil rigs. We know the distance between the level of height that we're at, right? So we know that, we're using 1 foot for this example. And we know the metrics of the earth. We know exactly how big the earth is because they tell us how big it is, right? Radius, diameter, circumference. So we're going to use these numbers to test over the distance. I'd say we call it a small sample set, right? It's a small sample of the sphericity claim of the earth. So from the position that we're at on the beach to like where we see the horizon, we know the distance, at least to the fact that we know the distance between us and the oil rigs, because the oil rigs are going to give a marker for how far away it is. And then we're going to figure out how much curvature there should be between us and the horizon. Once we do, then we can test the claim how much drop rate there should be between us and that horizon. As to say, where the curvature of the earth begins. That would be the leading edge of the sphere, right? The leading edge of the sphere where you can't see beyond because there's a curve there. Well, that's where we would see, or where we would stop to see, I rather should say, where we would stop to see anything else, where boats disappear behind and so on, right? So with that, we're going to be able to determine whether the earth is curving at the set rate with drop over distance, just like they're telling us, or not. If it's not dropping away from us like they're telling us, then the horizon, where we can't see beyond because that's the curvature of the earth, is not what they're telling us it is. It is not the leading edge of the sphere. It is, in fact, just an optical phenomenon that we see in the far distance where the sky meets the earth. Am I losing you here? Or do you want to respond?
No. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Right. So, therefore, I'm giving you a tool in which you can actually do with any type of optics that you can actually do, like from an elevation height off the ground and shoot across the water and to the distance, right, into the horizon. You're going to figure out something very fundamental, that the earth is either curving like they say that it is, or it's not. And from that point, it establishes a foundation of you being able to verify the claim that the earth is curving at the set rate they tell you, or you're going to be able to falsify it and say it's not what they're telling us it is. Right. Either way, you're going to be armed with that information and then be able to confront anyone who tells you that it's curving like a globe. Then you can say, I know now with evidence that the earth isn't curving like they tell me it is because I've checked. Now that I know it's not a ball. Whatever you think it is, it could be whatever you think, but it's definitely not the ball that you're telling me it is from the metrics that you've given me that are easily searchable by everybody. That's what we've done. That's how we've disproved the earth is a globe. And there's nothing that no pictures, no rockets, no nothing can bring it back from. Because if it's not curving like they tell us it is not a globe, Shabzz. I don't care how many people kick and scream and tell us it is. It's not. It needs to be verified as a globe by way of measuring it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So wait, I have a question though. So at what point then do things stop being visible? Because shouldn't you theoretically then be able to see everything?
No. We're working off a perspective, meaning that everything converges to the eye line. So think about it like this: optics and your eyeballs and the way they work, right? The way you see the Earth is working off a perspective. So I'll give you an example. Let's look at down a long hallway, right? There's images of hallways. I want you to think about this. The walls, the floor, and the ceiling converge to a point in the far distance through your eye line. So as you see something in the far distance, everything looks like it's converging to a point. You can agree with me because you've actually seen the long hallway. There's one actually in live stream voice text for you to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that? Everything converges to the eye line. Now, that, do you know where we're at? Live stream voice text?
Yeah, I see it.
So the Get Your Problem just posted something at 39 minutes after the hour, and it looks like, and that second image is exactly a good way to think about it, right? The guy that's standing, he looks like he's got a half sphere that he's looking at with his perspective. With perspective, everything converges to the eye line. This is a well-known, established fact. This is not something that we're trying to say that we made up, or this is how your eyes work when they see the world. Because that's how you know everything converges to your eye line. Therefore, if we start to see that something's above our head, it looks like it's going down. Not really though, but in our perspective, it does look that way. Okay, so we're building a case for how you see the Earth. So can we see forever? Well, let's look at the hallway example. Could we see forever in the hallway?
Why? I would say no.
Why? Based on what we've just talked about. Why?
Because it all just squeezes in, is that it?
Yes, correct. So everything looks like it converges, so there's no way to see forever because your perspective will not allow it. So there's a lot to be figured out as to like how far you can see due to the optics that you're using. So your eyeballs has a resolution limit to how far you can see. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can extend that limit a bit farther, but probably only to a certain amount, right? Because we can use optics like binoculars or, you know, any type of other optics that a camera, you know, whatever. It extends the limitation to our eyesight, and we'd be able to see a lot farther than our normal eyesight couldn't see.
Yeah.
But,
so if I were to use,
go on.
Okay, so let's say if I was looking from a set distance, like London to New York, let's say. If I was looking from the coast of either continent to the other one, and if I were to use a really good lens, would I be able to see the other Would I be able to see the other side?
No, because understanding optics is that they have their own limitations to their how far they can see. You can't see forever. It only extends the limit, but the limit also reaches its exceeded amount. So you can't overdo like how far optics, you know, this is well understood. Optics can have a certain resolution, and there's a lot to get into, like cameras and lenses and stuff.
Plus, there's the clarity of the air itself.
Yeah. I was going to say there's a lot of variables, but just understanding perspective and optics and all of these things, you'll understand that there's a limitation to that due to the fact that we have variables like, you know, air conditions, like you have like it being foggy or dusty or whatever particles are floating around, but that's going to cause interference with your view. Also, perspective, like limitations to your view, angle of view, like what your, like how, let's see, the elevation off the ground, because from the certain elevation you can see farther, but as you raise up in elevation, you can see farther even still. So there's a lot of factors to consider, but definitely not curvature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you look up your local weather, right? It'll have a visibility thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Typically 10 miles or something like that. That's based upon air clarity, how clear the air is. It's not based upon cold or anything like that. So we see reflected light. So to see, you know, New York to Great Britain, the light would have to reflect off the island of Great Britain all the way 3,000 miles through the air and come into the telescope. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. It can't. There's probably like 20 thunderstorms between you and Great Britain, man. So, or between New York and Great Britain, at least. It's thousands of miles.
Sorry, can I just jump in very quickly as well?
Yeah.
To whoever we're talking to, do you have Google open in front of you?
I can have it open, sure, yeah.
Right. So if you type in distance to horizon calculator, then just click one of the calculators. Right. Now put in like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Just imagine you're standing on the beach at 6 feet. Right. How far away does it say the horizon is?
Distance to 6 feet. So my height above average surface level would be 6 feet, or
Yeah.
Alright. It says 8.7 kilometers.
For 6 feet?
8.744.
Okay.
Oh, never mind.
Well,
4.827, sorry. Converted.
Right. So 4.8 kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look in the live stream voice text, see this text channel?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So see this image that I've just posted? This is for an 8-foot observer height, and the geometric horizon is 3.4 miles, so say about 5 kilometers, roughly what you're saying. So where do you see the horizon in this image? Is it in front of the rigs or behind the rigs?
Behind?
Right. And how far away is the furthest rig? Platform habitat?
10.10
Right.
miles away. So obviously
you see the
far from
horizon. Right. So the horizon, when we observe it, is not matching the globe model. You see that?
Right.
Right. So what does that mean to you?
That is inconsistent, yeah.
Right. So then we're left with the situation of saying, okay, reality is inconsistent with the globe model. Do we go with reality or the globe model if we're trying to figure out what reality is?
Well, reality, yeah.
Right. So not the globe model.
No, probably not.
There you go. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Ah, cool. Lovely. Thank you.
No worries.
Alright. Good night.
Next.
I mean, you can carry on. You should have some questions in your mind now that you're realizing this. But yeah, that's just an easy demonstration to show you that reality does not match the model, and we're just looking at reality here.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you can do this yourself. I mean, now that you know, right, you can just go to the beach and say, right, check your elevation. Usually, if you're on like an iPhone or whatever, you can go to the compass app and it'll tell you what your rough elevation is, like 10 meters, 20 meters, whatever it is. Go onto the distance to horizon calculator, put in your observer height, see how far away it says the horizon should be. Check to see if you've got a distance marker in the water, like a boat or a buoy, a lighthouse or something. And you can start checking this for yourself. And what you'll start to see is exactly what we're telling you. It's that it's not matching. So whatever it is, it's not that globe model that they're telling us.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah,
Cool.
sure. I'll try that.
Yeah. Well, carry on
Thank
if
you.
you've got questions. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, no, I'm alright. I think I'm done. Thanks, though.
Tags! What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.